This, we have UP Political Science Assistant Professor Ranjit Rye.
Good morning, Prof. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Prof,
audio. We can't hear you.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for inviting. Yeah. Thank you. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Nako, Prof. Of course, I'd like to get your reaction with regards what's happening sa pag-file ni Kibuloy sa candidacy at controversy surrounding it.
Well, I don't have all the data yet with me, and just like the COMELEC chair, it's really premature to comment on it, except to say that the party that he's supposed to be affiliated in is not clear whether they've endorsed him or not. His options is of course to run as an independent. And of course, in our own judicial system, you're innocent until proven guilty. So, which means he can actually file his candidacy, and he can run for the Senate. Of course, will people vote for him is a bigger issue, and maybe that is also the issue in this coming election. There's so many controversial candidates that have filed their own certificates of candidacy. So, it's up to us voters to vote for them, or not to vote for them.
Opo. Professor, COMELEC nga po sinabi po nila na it is likely na ito po si Kibuloy ay ma-disqualified base doon sa kanyang SONA. Yung reaction niyo po, ay CONA rather, and yung reaction niyo po dito, and then are there any other possibilities or avenues na po pwede siyang ma-disqualify?
I'm not an election lawyer by training, but there are technicalities that can be utilized. If there are fake documents and all of these things, but it's premature not to comment because we don't have data. Number two, we're not privy to whatever has been filed, and that I'm sure the COMELEC will study all of this and will provide a fair judgment on the case, if there is actually a case. The option is, of course, to run as an independent. So that's as long as the certificate of candidacy is correct and it is in compliance with the rules. I don't see really any big technicality, why he can't run. But of course, we're not privy to the details, the actual details, and. I think it's premature really to comment on, except to say, he's a very controversial candidate, and is someone who probably will be in jail while the campaign is ongoing. Okay, and so this is something that voters can reflect on if they're going to choose him or not.
Professor, I'd like to shift a little and talk about one of the issues hounding this coming midterm elections. Nag-resurface po ang issue about political dynasties. In the past, medyo negative ang connotation nito sa public, pero we've seen a positive, somewhat parang half positive, half negative remark about political dynasties. Ano po ang take natin dito? And there's also been pushback from certain candidates about this. Case in point, we have several senators filing in the Senate, di ba? Na if ever we have 3 tulfos po sa Senate, we also have sila Vilma Santos and Lucky Manzano. We have the Villar. So, where do you think medyo naging, for some Filipinos, hindi na masyadong negative ang political dynasty?
Well, personally, I'm not a supporter of political dynasties. I think we really need to develop a strong party system. We need to bring to the ballot candidates that are really qualified, who stand for principles, platform, or program of action, or who belong to parties that represent distinct ideologies. But on the other hand, the reality is, over the last, the greater part of the history of our country, we really had only political dynasties, political families, and I don't think there's anything new with what we have today. As regards to it's more continuity and change rather than change, as far as our politics is concerned. It's always been dynasties. There's nothing new. I don't also believe that it's intensified. It's still the same. In fact, when you look at nobody can even claim it's intensive because the number of people who are less than last election, and much less than 2 elections ago. So what we have is a continuity of traditional Philippine politics, no, which is clientelistic, familial,
Yes.
highly nationalistic. So there's really nothing. There's no change as far as that's concerned. I think what's important for the media and individuals like us, no, citizens, is to look at the few examples of change emerging. No, we have a robust, progressive block of politicians who are now decided to come out with a full slate. No, and these are the progressive groups. There are lots of them. Okay, from the left. I think that's what's new in this particular midterm race. Whether they'll win or not is really up to us, no? But of course, the underdogs here, because traditional politics comes with lots of resources. Okay, but that's some individuals. There's some names that have cropped up. So what we should be focusing on, what has changed, rather than what has remained the same.
Yeah. Prof, it's good that you mentioned nga yung mga, we have options right now because sabi nga dito niya, isa sa mga aspirants, si Duque Espiritu, ang senatorial, sabi daw niya, he believes that political clans are no longer a challenge in the elections. Do you believe that? So, siguro base na rin po sa mga studies ninyo, sa mga surveys na ginagawa nyo, and also kasi merong survey din po na lumabas na majority of the voters daw po this year are Gen Zs, no? From the Gen Z. So do you think na magkakaroon po ng change or shift dun sa political landscape base dun sa survey na yun?
Well, I don't know about that survey, but what we can share is Okta Research survey. And we've had a political preference survey since the first quarter of this year. And it's very clear now. The country is divided. 50% are really focusing on the traditional elite agrupations, pro-Duterte, pro-Marco, the traditional opposition. But a big chunk of Filipinos, something like over 40%, are independent. They're looking for new candidates. They're open to new and progressive politics. So that's the actual data that shows that there's a space for progressive politics to emerge. That's more than 40%. They don't identify with the dominant political family, Marcos. They don't identify with the political alliance of the Duterte. And neither do they support the opposition the way it's configured, no? Whether it's Liberal Party, whatever, Dilaw. Okay, so what we have now is 40 or between 40 to 45% of our own voters, our own citizens, actually, not just voters, who are into new politics, who basically classify themselves as independents or non-aligned, no? So there's solid data there. So there's always a space for the opposition for progressive politics to emerge, and we have a big role here in media to for vote to education, especially the party list, no? I think the party list has a lot of potential. It's running suboptimally. It's dominated by traditional politics now. Yeah. But there's still avenues for progressive groups, no, to emerge as important players in the party list elections, and I guess that there's a lot of room there. At the local level, we have challengers now, no. Now, as to how easy or how hard it is, I wouldn't know that. What we do know is that there's a space for progressive politics to emerge. Maybe the level playing field now, because when you look at Okta data, 7 out of 10 Filipinos get their data really from, at least 6 out of 10 Filipinos get their data on the internet from all sorts, no? Facebook, YouTube, you aggregate that. There's a large aggregation of Filipinos who actually get their news from the internet. And in the internet, it's a level playing field, no? You don't need to be as rich let's say a Villar family, no, to get some presence there. So maybe that's where that point of view is coming from. But at the ground level, where the actual voters, well, you actually have touched base with the actual vote, it's going to be very expensive. This next election cycle is going to be extremely expensive because it's a midterm election. The nature of it, people have to spend a lot of their personal resources instead of relying on the administration of opposition parties in a national election. And because the social media also is very structured now, commodified, it's also going to be expensive to run a social media campaign. So this notion of expense is very relative, no? But is there a space open for people to use social media for their campaigns, for their own advocacy drives? I think there is.
There is.
Yeah.
Oo,
But it will be competitive and it will be expensive, definitely.
Yun. At the end of the day, tulad nga po ng sinabi nyo, Prof, nasa kamay yan ng mga botante. Doon natin,
Correct. Oo.
kita-kita tayo sa finish line. But maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. That was UP Political Science Assistant Professor Ranjit Rye. Thank you po.